The next question from Dave Helling, first to Kay Barnes.
Okay, by some estimates, the unfunded liability for Social Security and Medicare reaches $35 trillion. I ask this question as someone who grows older by the day and is more interested in Social Security than ever. And maybe
you or me?
Both of us, all of us. How do you fix Social Security, and how do you fix Medicare?
Well, you stop rating the Social Security Trust Fund, as my opponent has voted for time and time again. You also do not support privatizing Social Security, which my opponent has suggested that he would favor. So those are two very important actions that need to be taken. It is the foundation of the livelihood of millions of people in this country. I will do everything I possibly can as a member of Congress to protect Social Security, to be sure that as we are involved in shifting priorities and taking away the tax benefits for the big oil companies, in being sure that we have a responsible and appropriate withdrawal from Iraq so that we can begin to spend money in this country for what we should be attending to, whether it is health care, Social Security, and, by the way, this country's infrastructure. As I think all of you are aware, we are putting millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, even more, into the infrastructure of Iraq, while they're sitting on an $80 billion surplus. Something's wrong with that picture.
Sam?
Well, the unfortunate part of Social Security is it's always been exactly the same in terms of pulling money out. When Roosevelt created the Social Security Trust Fund, that's how he paid for the New Deal. That's how he paid for all of those projects. There were 16 people paying in for every one person taking out of Social Security. And all those projects with the WPA and the CCC, they were all paid for by Social Security. And it never ended. It never ended, and so we're to a point now. I said 16 are paying in for every one person taking out. We're to a point now where it's about 2.5 are paying in for every one taking out, and soon that's going to change over. And probably about 2017, possibly that's what the estimates are. And then we'll start drawing out of general fund to supplement the Social Security Trust Fund to make sure that we pay those benefits. For starters, we need to, and it's something I worked on a lot, and we haven't seen lately, is the lockbox. We can't even get, we never could get it through the Senate, but we can't even get a situation where the trust fund is locked away to where it can accrue and build and put off that point where we have that changeover much farther into the future, and that's the starting point. We have to be able to lock away that trust fund so that the Social Security Trust Fund can accrue, and there is actually a trust fund instead of a situation where it is just drawing out and going straight into spending. So that's the first part to obviously extend it far into the future until hopefully something can be done to fix it.
Next question to both of the candidates from Lisa Carter. First to Sam Graves.
We touched on the war in Iraq. Is the war in Iraq won? Is it being won, or is it basically a waste now of American time and money?
Well, and success in any region, and how do you have to come up with a definition for success. And success is a stable region and a country that is not a safe haven for terrorists. We're not going to be able to stop every single person that's carrying a bomb, but we can be successful in stopping a country like Iran or an organization like Hezbollah or Hamas or Al-Qaeda from taking over and filling a vacuum in a country like Iraq. And we have planted the seed of democracy right smack dab in the center of the Middle East, and it's having a huge impact on folks from Syria who are coming in for jobs, on people in Iran who are coming in for jobs, people in Jordan, people in Saudi Arabia who are coming to Iraq for jobs. They're seeing the freedoms that the Iraqi people are being able to take advantage of, particularly when it comes to women. Women now can go to school in Iraq. They are participating in the legislatures and Congress. The second time I visited Iraq, we went through Erbil, which is one of the provinces, the northern province, and they had set up their state governments, but it's a provincial government, much like our state governments, and half of the parliament, the state parliament, was women. So people are seeing these changes and transformations, and they're wanting more of it. So it is having a huge impact. Can we stay there forever? Absolutely not. We can't, because we simply can't afford it. But we have to have success, and we have to have that stable region that's not a safe haven for terrorists.
Kay Barnes.
As I said a few minutes ago, I think it's very important that we move toward a responsible withdrawal from Iraq and rely on our military leadership on the ground to take us through that process. We are needing more troops in Afghanistan. The tumult there is increasing. That is where Osama bin Laden is. We have dropped the ball in terms of our efforts there. We need to shift our priority from Iraq to Afghanistan, again, after a responsible withdrawal. In addition, I agree with Congressman Ike Skelton. I think everyone in this room respects his educated perspective on foreign policy. His greatest concern is if an additional conflict erupts in some other part of the world, we are not prepared. We do not have the troops nor the equipment to address that third or fourth or fifth conflict. So we are in a very difficult situation. And as I said before, the Iraq war has cost us enormously, lives lost, people with severe injuries returning from the war. And the cost to one congressional district in this country, in our case, the 6th Congressional District, the cost of the Iraq war by the end of this year will be over $1 billion. Just think what even a portion of $1 billion could have done in the 6th District. Infrastructure, health care, and so on.
We have time for just a couple of more questions, and this next one will begin with Kay Barnes. It was yesterday that the Treasury Secretary, Henry Paulson, said that government purchases of stock in banks represents an investment that should eventually make money for taxpayers. You've said before that you would have supported the bailout plan as it was in Congress. How much confidence do you have in the Secretary's comments?
I did not say I would have supported it. I said I would have reluctantly voted against it for two reasons. One being, it was obvious to me that the add-ons in the Senate were unnecessary and truly, I think, was a huge mistake. In addition, it was clear to me as I was working all across the district that the vast majority of people living in the 6th District opposed that bailout. Having said that, I believe that there is now a reasonable set of approaches being put together, and interestingly enough, with a lot of input and work with our European allies and others around the world. We are now in a global economy, and that has to be the approach that we use. It may well be that that investment related to the banks is a positive step forward. But what I want to see is the comprehensive plan that hopefully will emerge by the time the new Congress is sworn in on January 20th.
And let the record reflect that the moderator screwed that one up. To Sam Graves. Now, I know you voted against the bailout. You have said in the past that you thought the size of the bailout was far too big for your taste. How much confidence do you have in the Secretary's comments from yesterday?
I don't have a whole lot of confidence in the Secretary, and that's another one of the reasons why I voted against it twice on that bill. The Secretary, in fact, what the Secretary is doing and implementing isn't the bill that was even discussed or talked about. The federal government owning equity stakes in banks, folks, this isn't. That is not America. Absolutely not America. The fact of the matter is the federal government buying out bad loan portfolios, bailing out Wall Street, spending $800 billion in that case. Then there was the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac bailout. A month before that, another $200 billion, which I voted against also. Then you had the AIG bailout. Folks, that's over $1 billion in new spending that wasn't accounted for in the budget. Plus, it added another $2 trillion on top of the national debt limit. The fact of the matter is it could have been done better. I talked to Jim Isaacs with the FDIC. He had a great proposal for guaranteeing loans in banks that are struggling rather than using your tax dollars and my tax dollars to buy out bad loans to bail out Wall Street. Secretary Paulson's buddies is what that's about. Now he's implementing something that wasn't even talked about in the bill, and it gives him so much broad authority. And that's what's scary about the proposal. So much broad authority and no guarantee that it is even going to work. That's the problem with Washington. More spending, more spending, more spending. Folks, they don't have a revenue problem. They have a spending problem, and that's what it is.